Hey guys, so I have the Denali SoundBomb Split air horn. I'm going to install on my 2017 Triple Black GS Adventure. The stock horn just doesn't cut it for me, so I want to blast some people if I need to. The reason why I went with the Split because I saw a review or an installation instructions on I believe it was on r1200.net forum board. There's two different people. There was one guy who had a little bit better installation, so I'm going to kind of copy his. But this is the compressor pump, and then this is the horn, and then it comes with the plastic tube that it connects. And then I also ordered the Denali wiring kit, plug-and-play wiring kit that makes it easier to install. And then I ordered the BMW connector for connecting it, and then it already comes with a relay. So I'll be installing this, and I want to check out, we'll test out the factory horn, and then we'll go through the install process, and then we'll test out this horn and see what the difference is. Okay, we're going to check out the factory horn, see how that sounds. It's okay. Sounds somewhat loud, but let's go ahead and put on the Sound Blaster. All right, what I'm going to do to install the Sound Blaster is I'm going to take off the top crash bar, take off the fairing on both sides, leave the lights installed, just have them hanging down. My objective is to install the compressor somewhere on this side in here underneath the fairing, and then mount the horn itself inside in here in the fairing, inside of the fairing, according to some of the examples I saw online. Now I'm going to just, before I do the actual install, I'm going to double check it and make sure there's not something I can put on the other side here on the right hand side, so that way it's easier to run the wires across all the way to the battery and so forth. But so let's start taking this all apart. All right, I got my GoPro mounted on my chest, got the camera up, so let's start taking this thing apart. Just in case you're wondering what's on my chest, is the GoPro mounted here. So you can get some. So I'm just going to let this hang down here. So we get these air fairing things off. Yeah, one thing I like about this bike, there's not too much to it as far as fairings and plastic. And man, my Harley, taking that thing apart and putting it back together, a lot of stuff. This bolt here. Now these bolts come in different sizes. I noticed that I had already taken this all apart before, so all these little nuts come in different lengths and so forth, so you got to kind of remember where these all go. Get that off. That's a long one there. So good thing is that all these Torx is a T25. So with the one tool, you can dismantle pretty much everything. There's also one tucked underneath there inside here that you have to take off. What the hell? Just get all the fairing off. All right, get this one off. those off. So we're gonna get that one off inside there. Comes off there. All right, we get these off. These ones got to be careful. There's like these little, these are little things underneath here that will fall off if you're not careful, and you'll lose them. So make sure that those get put away correctly. So this one screw's got to come off. There's 2 screws in there you got to take off, and then that'll come all together. And one nice motion. All right. Okay, that all comes off. Good deal. All right, there's a couple screws here on the inner fairing. It needs to be removed, both on the left and right hand side. So we'll take this off on the left side first, and the other one's up in there. So I like doing projects. I like working on my bike. I like to be able to get in there and get my hands dirty. That way I know what I'm doing in the future. If I ever need to break down my bike and work in the future. All right. There's one more tank right here, a screw that needs to be taken off. Well, there goes that. All right, get those 2 screws off for the other side of the fairing. All right, got these screws off. So this is the right side. Start dismantling the right side. Get to enjoy some cultural music. That's where the water cooler portion goes. So now, this whole fairing should come right off, which it does. Cool. So that's what is exposed. So for us to put the horn on, there's the factory horn there. So we'll play with that, see how we can mount that, and mount the other horn. and go from there. All right, you guys. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna take off this front piece. So there's 2 bolts. One's here along with all the other ones, and another one right here. So that holds that in place along with those other bolts. Then there's 2 more underneath here. So we'll go ahead and get those off. And then there's a 3rd bolt that actually holds this that piece together. But I'm not gonna take that off. We'll let that all come off as one unit. Well, maybe. I don't know, we'll see right now. Pop that off. Maybe 2 separate units, that way it's easier to come off. Promise you it's underneath there. Get you so you can kind of see how that looks. That takes that off. Another bolt up underneath there. You can see here. That'll hold that piece together. There we go. All right. So that's that piece right there. Then this piece comes right off here. That's it. The whole front fairing's off. All right, so I'm gonna take off the horn. I already loosened it up, but that's where the factory horn is placed. That comes off. Then it's got the plug, factory plug. That's where that plugs out. So I was debating on keeping the factory horn along with the other one, but I decided against it. So after careful contemplation on where am I going to mount the compressor for the SoundBomb horn, I decided to go here and use the factory horn mount. And all I did is just bent it up out of the way. And I put the plastic back on to make sure that it's out of the way. And then also too, you have complete room for the forks. And the steering is completely out of the way. So what I'll do is I'll put some zip ties just to make sure that if this thing ever gets loose or, you know, it'll just stay on there, probably mount it up around here and so forth. So that way it's secure. Bouncing around off-road and on-road, it should be okay. It's pretty tight. So compressor, I figured out it goes right here. That'd be the best way instead of mounting it in different ways. And then I'll just run the wiring through here. So my next step is I'm going to remove this fairing here and this piece of plastic and run the wiring through the battery and then figure out where I'm going to mount the actual horn itself. And then we're almost done. All right, guys. So right back. All right, so I have the bottom fairing off now, and as you can see, That's what it looks like if you haven't seen a GS Adventure with all the fairing off. So now what I'm going to do is set up the wiring and mount the actual horn itself, and we'll be done and test it out. All right, so I got the horn, compressor already mounted, ran some zip ties up through this little hole that's right in here. Got it in place, ran another zip tie right here, coming through here, around here, to keep this from, if this happens to get loose, falls off at some point. But at least this zip tie right here will hold it in place, and that. So ran the hose up and around, up and over, through, and then got the actual horn mounted there. The tube runs up and over and down, as you can see there. So that's in place. Ran some zip ties across here and up through around the horn. Kind of see there. And that holds it really good and steady in place. That ain't going anywhere. The horn, as you can see, the compressor zip tied it through there. That's good. So there's complete clearance now. There's no issues with the suspension rubbing against anything. So that's a nice, easy, fairly easy install. I didn't have to drill anything or do anything like that. So now the next step is I'm going to wire it. So I went ahead and took off the Pinner's frame, and then what I'm going to do is put the relay over here somewhere, run the wires up underneath here, attach the power on the ground, and then run it through underneath here, and then I have the power to the horn. So that'll be the next step, and once I get that done, I'll bring it back and show you how it looks. So I actually decided to remove the gas tank to wire in the horn, just because there's I just couldn't find a good way to get the wiring through here and to the horn without having it hanging down underneath here, the frame. So the gas tank was really easy to pop off. I have the keyless gas tank deal, so the wiring comes through here. Just had to comes through here, and I just had to snip the little zip ties and then disconnect it from this little plug right here, and then that comes off, and then there's like 4 bolts that go right here. I took that off, and then that's pretty much it, and then it just comes right off, and then just unplug these. I used the little 90-degree tool like this to take these off. That goes against the gas tank, and then this just pops right off, so that way the gas tank doesn't leak. So there's the gas tank. There's that. So yeah, that took me a little bit to get taken apart, but I felt that was just better invested time to have it wired correctly. And I ended up taking off the entire rack to have this wired. So the project is taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, but hey, that's what I like to do. I like to work on my bike and check it out, see what it's all about. All right, so I got it all wired up. Basically, I try to do as factory install as possible, so that way it's all wired in without any wires kind of rerouted and all over the place. So what I did is started back here with all this being removed. So all that piece is removed. So brought the wiring, the original wiring here. Here's the relay. Brought this through here, underneath here, and brought it in through this channel here, factory wiring, and through here, wired it up through here to the factory channel. Removed this, the water port, the water tank, and removed this bracket, removed this vent, air vent, that way all this was open. Brought the wiring up and through underneath here, and as you can see, here's some of the wiring here for the SoundBomb, and then it comes back down, and then it wires up underneath here. So very clean install. And then the factory plug that plugs into it, it's also right in here. Try to do as factory as possible. I didn't want any wires out through over here and tucked underneath by the motor. It might get burned and everything. So I ran it, tucked it underneath here, zip tied everything. put it underneath here, zip tied all this, zip tied all this, zip tied all this, tucked it underneath here, factory, zip tied it there, and then the relay, once again, just zip tied it to this, so that way it's all tucked in, nothing's moving, and that's it. So the hardest part was trying to figure out how to wire and route this. Second go, man, I can knock this out really fast. So this is the way I did it. I'm sure I could have routed it stuff, and then also to the cabling, I ran it here for the battery. Negative goes underneath here, comes out here for the negative, positive, brought it up through underneath here, and as you can see, the cable's right here, and it ties in right here perfectly, so that way it's perfect. All right, so had to change my memory card. It got full. Any case, so ran all the wiring, everything looks good here, perfect. So now put all this stuff back. I'm gonna put everything back, and we'll test it out and make sure everything works good. Of course, I didn't need to remove all this to put this wiring, but you know, I didn't want to do it half-assed. I wanted to make sure I did it right. That's the way it is, all wired up. And then, oh yeah, let me show you what the horn. So I got the horn in there. So that's it tucks in nice. I put some of that foamy pad stuff just so that way it doesn't rub up against the frame and the plastic. But as you can see, it completely clears the suspension, so I don't have to worry about it banging up on the suspension. And yep. So anyways, let's put all this stuff back together. All right, so I have the gas tank on, have the pannier frames on. Now all I need to do is just put the front of the fairing on. Got the side moldings put back in, so everything matches up perfectly. As you can see, the relay is underneath, tucked underneath this section here, which is good. And then the wiring comes up underneath there. Everything matches up perfectly. The tank went on just fine. And then of course the wiring's all up underneath here of the tank, underneath there, and it comes up and around, and perfect. So all I need to do is put the rest of the plastic on, and then we'll fire it up. I already fired it up. Everything started up just fine. Got all this section put in here. Put zip ties on this section, and yeah, everything's coming out just great. All right, this thing's all put back together. Start it up. Test out the horn. See how it works. All right, you guys, so this thing is done. Thanks for checking everything out, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out as much as I can. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video.